You think you've gotten better at choosing people, and then somehow, months later, you're standing in the exact same kind of relationship. Different person, same pattern, and eventually, you start asking yourself, why do I keep choosing people like this? It can feel like you're simply unlucky in relationships, but sometimes there's a deeper pattern. You may not be choosing what is good for you. You may be choosing what feels familiar. 1. You mistake uncertainty for chemistry. Imagine meeting someone who is emotionally inconsistent. Some days they're warm and attentive. Other days they're distant. And instead of feeling turned off, you become even more interested. You think about them constantly. You wait for their messages. You become obsessed with figuring out where you stand. That intensity can feel like chemistry, but sometimes your nervous system is simply recognizing something familiar. If you've experienced relationships where affection was unpredictable, uncertainty can start to feel like excitement, and calmness can feel strangely boring. 2. You chase the love you have to earn. There's another pattern. You meet someone who gives you just enough attention to keep you hoping. So you try harder. You become more understanding. You give more. You tell yourself, if I can just make them see how much I care. And when they finally give you affection, it feels incredibly rewarding. But that's part of the trap. When affection has to be earned, getting it can feel more valuable than receiving it freely. You aren't necessarily attracted to being hurt. You may have simply learned to confuse effort with love. 3. You ignore the first signs because you see their potential. Then, there are the red flags you notice early. They disappear for days. They avoid difficult conversations. They don't treat you consistently. You notice it, but then you think, they're probably just scared. Or, they've been through a lot. Or, they'll change when they feel safe with me. And slowly, you start falling in love with who they could become instead of paying attention to who they actually are. Empathy can become dangerous when it makes you explain away behavior that is hurting you. 4. Healthy love can feel unfamiliar. This may be the hardest part. Someone finally comes along who communicates clearly. They show up consistently. They don't make you question where you stand. And instead of feeling intense excitement, you might feel almost nothing, because there's no guessing, no chasing, no emotional roller coaster, just consistency. And if your brain has learned to associate uncertainty with connection, peace can initially feel like a lack of chemistry. That's why changing your pattern isn't just about finding better people. It's also about learning to recognize healthy love when it doesn't feel dramatic. So if you keep choosing people who hurt you, don't immediately ask, what's wrong with me? Ask something different. What feels familiar to me? Because sometimes the person you're attracted to isn't giving you the love you need. They're activating an emotional pattern you've known before. And the goal isn't to become less loving. It's to stop mistaking anxiety for chemistry, chasing for connection, and inconsistency for love. Because the right relationship shouldn't require you to constantly convince someone to choose you. Love can feel exciting without making you feel unsafe. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you in the next one.